What's up, subscribers? Hey, today I want to share something with you, a little bit about what 10x means. 10x and your mindset of what 10x actually means. So 10x is thinking 10 times more than you believe you're capable of. You see, most people believe they'll never get to $1 million earner. Most people believe they can't even get to an 850 credit score. But it all starts with your belief and then taking action. So 10x, which is my mentor, Mr. Grant Cardone, 10x illustrates that you will think and believe 10 times greater than you actually can. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of powerful motivation this morning. We're heading down to Miami and got the fam with me, and we're going to go down there and be at the Growth Con in Miami to be there with my mentor and get a lot of great education and an unbelievable amount of education and information about how to change the world and how to take the credit game to the next level. And with you guys being all my subscribers and all you guys that have wrote great comments and hit the thumbs up, I can't thank you enough for helping me grow the largest YouTube channel ever in national history in the shortest period of time on credit. So I want to thank you guys first and foremost. Today I'm going to talk about something that most people would believe is illegal, but it's actually not. Okay, it's actually not. And so we get a lot of people calling in saying, hey, how does the trade line thing work? So today I want to cover what trade lines are, how they work, and I'm going to give you a lot of bombs throughout this message to help you select the right trade lines. And I'm going to share with you how to actually get them and how they're going to benefit your credit. So let's start with what is a trade line, right? So just to educate you guys on what a trade line is anything that's on your credit report, okay? So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to explain it a little bit different, but let's just take a look at your credit report. And we've got your, let's say your credit cards, let's say your home, let's say your car. Those are all going to be listed on your account as accounts. An account on your credit report is also known as a trade line, okay? Now, for the purposes of this video, okay, we're going to switch the word trade line to authorized user trade line. And what that means is simply somebody who has great credit. Okay, I want you to look at and picture this. Let's say you got a family member, okay, and they had their Chase card for the last 10 years, and the credit limit is $15,000. Okay, now your family member, let's say it's grandma, she's got the Chase card. She's never missed a payment on the Chase card, ever. Okay, in the last 10 years. You have 120 months of perfect payment history. No blemishes. Not a late payment once. And she's got a $10,000 credit limit. Well, you go to grandma and you say, hey, look, grandma, look, no risk to you, but here's what I just learned from Mike on the credit game. If you actually add me to your credit card as an authorized user, okay, so all she has to do, grandma just has to pick up the phone, call the back of the card, and she has to say, hey, I would like to add, that would be your name, your email, your phone number, date of birth, and social security number. So I want to add John Smith, okay, here's his date of birth, here's the social, and here's the email address. I would like to add him to my $10,000 Chase card as an authorized user. Now, just so you guys are aware, the authorized user trade line, okay, will report onto your credit report as if it was yours. Now, let me tell you, before I tell you how this is going to help you out tremendously with your credit score, let me first say that it is a copy-paste. Meaning, whatever happened with grandma is going to then report to you. So, for example, if grandma had a late payment last year, well, then that late payment is also going to transfer onto your credit, thus hurting your credit, not helping it. The purpose of a trade line is to increase your credit score faster than faster than anything that's humanly possible to raise your credit score. By definition, a trade line is the fastest way to raise your credit score. So it beats everything. It beats utilization. It beats removing late payments. It really, it beats the collections. I mean, nothing can raise your credit score faster than timing it perfectly, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, the statement date, than a trade line. Okay, so grandma's got a great card. She calls. She adds you as an authorized user. Okay, what's going to happen is everything that grandma did transfers to you. Now, there are certain credit cards, okay, that do not report to the credit bureaus. Okay, let me be very clear about those. They're much more difficult to get to actually report. One of those is known as a Chase card. Not saying it won't report, but there's a little bit of a trick of the trade. What you have to do is call a hard pull. We'll get to that in a minute as well. But let's talk about some of the easier credit cards that what we call automatic posting lines. An automatic posting line is one that when grandma calls, they will take the social security number of the person being added. Some cards don't. Chase card don't. Synchrony banks don't. Community bank don't. Citibank don't. And so if you're not giving the social when grandma calls and she's like, hey, I would like to add my grandson or granddaughter to the card, and they ask for the name and they ask for the date of birth and the email, but they don't say social, and you're like, well, here, let me give you the social. They don't take the social. So it makes it much more difficult for a Chase, Citibank, Community, or a Synchrony bank to actually post to your credit bureau. Okay? I'm going to recommend a couple different lines that are what we call automatic posting lines and much easier. So when grandma calls, they're going to ask for the social. And that is the Capital One card. That is the Discover card. That is a Bank of America credit card. That is a U.S. Bank credit card, a USAA credit card, a Navy Federal credit card. Okay? Those are my top picks. Use those credit cards in terms of being added to, because when grandma calls, they will ask for the social security number. And what that means is it is an automatic posting line. Now, the important thing here is to make sure that the person who is adding you, number one, has no negative marks ever on the credit card. Okay? Doesn't matter their credit score. Let me be very clear about that. If grandma has a 550 credit score, but she has a card that has never had any late payments in 10 years, and it's a $10,000 credit limit, but she has a 550 credit score, the credit score doesn't matter. It's card specific, meaning as long as she adds you to the card that has no late payments, the credit score means no different. You're still going to get the history of the 10 years of perfect payment history. Her score doesn't reflect anything. Okay, so don't worry about what grandma scores. Worry about the actual card that you're being added to make sure that has no blemishes. Okay, number two, you want to make sure that the card actually reports, which I just talked to you about. If you have an opportunity to select a card, like one of the ones I just mentioned, the U.S. Bank, the USAA, the Navy Federal, the Capital One, Discover, Bank of America, those cards are going to be my first preference over something like a Chase, a Citibank, a Community, or a Synchrony Bank, okay? Or anything that does not take the social when they call it in. Now, lastly, utilization. The last thing that you want to do, because utilization is 30% of your credit score, is have grandma add you to the card and grandma is sitting at $8,400 out of a $10,000 limit. Okay? Because here's what's going to happen. Remember, 30% of your score is made up by utilization. So now, grandma has a $10,000 Chase. Even though it has perfect payment history, she's never missed a payment in 10 years, she's maxed out on her credit card. So she adds you, boom. I want to add my grandson to the card. Here's name, date of birth, boom, boom, boom. But she has $8,400 that she used on that $10,000 credit limit. So guess what happens? The $8,400 now reports to you, smashing your credit score, being 30% of the contributing factor of your credit score. Now, because the 84% utilization now reports on yours. Remember, it's a piggyback. Grandma to you, you take on her debt as well. Huge mistake that I see most people doing. So the three things you want to look at: does it report? Could it be an automatic posting line? Does it have any late payments? And is the utilization under 20%? If grandma has a card that's under 20% utilization, you're in good shape. Okay, so here's a perfect card. Let's give you an example. $10,000 credit limit. It's got 10 years of perfect payment history. She's never had any late payments on it. And the utilization is under 20%. If you can find somebody that has that criteria, you are golden. Now, here's how it works in terms of raising your credit score. Because it is the fastest way to raise your credit score, which we're going to talk about in a second, called utilization statement date, okay? We're going to talk about that in a minute. One of the things that you want to make sure, because it is the fastest card as far as getting onto your credit report, is you need to know the statement closing date. Okay, so a closing statement date means when the actual card closes out each month. Okay, so in order to find that, All you have to do is have grandma pull up her online banking, go to statements, and it'll have the date on there when the card closes each month. Or if you can't find it online, call the back of the card, and all the person has to do who owns the card is say, hey, what is my closing statement date for this card? Now, here's a trick that you guys need to know. If you want to report faster, here's the secret. Find out what the closing statement date of the card that you're being added to is. Okay, you want to get on before the closing statement date. For example, if the closing statement date of the card you're being added to, and every card has a different statement date, is say the 15th. Okay, let's say it's the Capital One card, and you want to get added, but today is the 5th, for example. You want to get added before the 15th of the month, not after the statement date. You want to get added before the statement date. So what's going to happen is if you get on before the statement date, when that card closes out on the 15th of the month, about 3 days after the closing statement date of the card, it will report to your credit. Okay? If you wait till the 16th of the month, then guess what? You're going to have to wait a whole another month until the following 15th. Okay? So, a couple things you want to look at. Look at the statement date. When you're being added, get on before it. Number 2, does the card have any late payments? If it does, do not even think about getting added as an authorized user of that card. Number 3, is the utilization above 20%? If it is, do not get added to it. And lastly, try to pick a line that is an automatic posting line, because if you can get it to post automatically without the whole address modification part, which essentially means it's a little bit tricky, right? It's called a hard pull merge. Then what you got to do is you got to do an application and put grandma's address on, your address on. It's a little bit of a headache, okay? So just try to pick one of the ones I said that's an automatic posting line, okay? This is how authorized users work. Now, lastly, I want to talk about one important thing. Many of the people were asking the legality of Tradelines. Whenever you apply for a credit card, what is one of the first things they ask you in the application? Would you like to add somebody as an authorized user? It's 100% legal. In fact, the FCRA quotes it very clearly. Adding an authorized user trade line is completely legal. So, just to kind of debunk what people are saying out there about it being illegal to add an authorized user, it absolutely is not illegal. Okay? You have the legal right to add anybody. They don't even question who it is, the person you're adding. They don't care. You want to add Billy Bob, your next door neighbor, as your, authorized user, that's completely up to you. Now, here's how it works by default. When grandma adds you to her credit card, if everything pans out, like I said, those factors work for you, okay, and grandma says, hey, I'm willing to trust you, okay, to add you as an authorized user, the credit card that's going to come in the mail will go to grandma, not you. Okay, so there's no risk to grandma about the card going out and being delivered to you, the person being added, and then she has to worry about whether you're going to run up the card or not. So by default, the credit card company sends it to grandma, and then she can hand it out to you if she wants. Okay, so for building credit purposes, the authorized user trade line can be done one of a couple different ways. A family member, friend, coworker, client, cousin, brother, whatever, can add you as long as they trust you. Okay, and those 4 factors come into play. What we just talked about: utilization, no late payments, the age is decent. Okay, you want something over 2 years, guys. Grandma has a card that's 6 months old, don't get added to it. We got FICO 10. Remember I told you guys FICO 10? You don't want to be added to something lower than 2 years of history, because FICO 10 trending can look back 2 years. So you want a trade line at least 2 years old, okay? No late payments, automatic posting line. Make sure the utilization is under 20%. Now, here's a really cool thing that you can do. It is called a progression file. Now I'm going to get a little bit more advanced for you for a second. What does it mean to have a progression file? Progression file means that if you're going to get, let's say, 3 trade lines, okay, you're thinking about buying 3 trade lines or getting 3 trade lines, okay? Either way, whether you're buying them and I'm going to share with you how to do that in a second, or whether a family member is adding you, same difference. What you want is called a progression, not just willy-nilly, I'm just going to add a trade line in my credit report and think all at once is going to boost me. Understand a couple factors. The higher the credit limit and the older the card, the more impact it will make to your credit score. So the way to factor this is this. For every year that the card is old, okay, with a $10,000 credit limit, you will get about 6 points on your credit score. So let me give you an example. Let's say grandma has the 10K, okay, and she's got something that is 10 years old, okay? 10,000 credit limit, 10 years old, 6 points per year, 60 points on your credit score. Just by her adding you to her card, you are going to gain 60 points, okay? Every year, about 6 points. 20-year card, you're talking about 120 points. 5 years, you're talking about 30 points, okay? Now, if you have an opportunity of getting on one card that's a much higher limit and much older versus two cards that are mediocre, go with the one card that's older, okay? So that way you're not diversifying too many accounts. So this is how trade lines work, guys, okay? I was added to a 65,000 credit limit with 22 years old, okay? I got 168 points on my credit. This was back when I was in the 500s, guys. Remember, I built the entire credit game for me, and now I just happen to share it with the world, and you guys happen to be listening. I was in a 515 credit score, got added to a $65,000 Discover line with 22 years of history, 168 points. Now, a lot of people want to know about the trade lines. How long do they stay on for? What is the impact? Let me give you that information real quick. A trade line will stay on for as long as the person's willing to add you for it. If it's a family member, then generally there's no reason for them to take you off the trade line, right? They can keep you on forever if they want, as long as their utilization's good. And if you start to see where the grandma's or the person that's adding you is like maxing out their credit card, right, and getting late payments, then quickly you need to call the person who added you and say, hey, remove me from an authorized user, and then it will remove the line from, and it won't make any more impact negatively to your credit report, okay? So you can always be removed, and they'll remove the history, which is the cool thing. If you are getting added by somebody else, okay, which I'm going to share with you in a minute how to do this, you have to think of the time frame that they're going to add you, okay? So if you're purchasing a trade line, you're looking at about 45 to 60 days on average, 45 to 60 days. And so we call that what they call the window of opportunity. So most people, when they're looking to fix their credit because they've been procrastinating about their credit for the last 10 years and finally decide, hey, I want to buy a new car, I want to get a new house, I'm ready to get some credit cards, okay? I'm going to show you so many tricks and things that you're going to be like, your head's going to spin, right? I got a new trick right now with the Navy Federal thing. I can show you how to get a really cool $80,000 credit card, okay? Flagship card. So what you guys need to know is that if you can get added to a trade line, okay, and you're purchasing one, it's going to be a window of opportunity. So if you're looking to get something, and again, most people are, they're usually wait till last second, they're like, cool, now I'm ready to go do it, right? Then you have to remember that the trade line's only going to stay on 45 to 60 days. So what I want to do for you today is a couple things. Now that you have all the information about what trade lines to get, the aged, what a progression means. Oh, I didn't share with you a progression. Let's say you want to buy more than one trade line. Here's what I want to recommend, okay? Recommend doing it this way. Number one, the lowest credit limit card should be the oldest card. Here's a perfect progression. $2,000 credit limit, 15 years old. Let's say we're buying three lines, right? So we're going to go into 2K, 15 years old. Then we're going to step it up and we're going to do a $7,000 credit limit, 10 years old. And then we're going to go to a 25 or 30,000 credit limit, 4 to 5 years old. That's called a progression. And what that shows is that over the years, your credit limits have gotten higher and higher, and that you've been approved for higher and higher limits. You guys follow me? Lowest credit limit to the oldest card. Step it up a little bit, and then step it up one more to the highest credit limit is the newest card. You see the progression showing that your credit has gotten better and you've been approved for higher and higher. 15 years ago, you got a 2K, right? 10 years ago, you got a 7K. And then 4 years ago, you got a 30,000. This is what you guys want. It's called a progression file. So anybody who's looking to buy more than one trade line, definitely look at what I just told you right there. That's a nugget and a half right there. And if you can get them from the same address, this is not a must, okay? It's a preference, but if you can get it from the same cardholder address, you are definitely one step ahead of the game. Again, that's not something I would like make it a deal breaker, but it's something definitely that you should think about. If you could get it, it's definitely a plus. Okay, so if it's 3 cards from the same card holder, from the same address, add that, all 3 of those lines, awesome job right there. Okay, now, here's what I want to do for you guys, because I'm feeling generous and I'm on my way down to Miami, and I'm like, hey, let me help you guys out. Okay, if anyone's been following me for any length of time, first of all, it's your first time on the channel, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button really quickly and smash on the like button, because I bring this stuff to you every day. Every day, twice a day, I'm bringing you videos. There's nobody out there doing it like me. I'm going to keep it as real as possible. I don't sugarcoat shit. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? Mommy and Daddy's going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you, this is what you need to do. This is how you're going to change your life. Bottom line, like, this is credit 101, and I'm going to teach you everything you know so you can be lethal in credit. But here's what I'm going to do for you, okay? If you guys have been following me for any length of time, you know that I ran the #1 trade line company in the world. And what I had was what they call a broker program. A broker program meaning that you could get trade lines for a significant discount that you could use for yourself, that you could use for your family, that you could use for a coworker, or better yet, you could even use for your clients, or all the above. So what I did was I put out a broker program. I said 50% off trade lines. 50%. I had this broker program. 50% off competitor prices. And people ate it up, man, like it was sushi. Like they crushed it, right? So now, here's what I want to offer you guys, okay? Because I want to help and give back. I'm going to do one better than 50%. My associates program, my vendor that I'm working with, I said, why don't we do this? Why don't we do 75% off? Because I'm always going to over-deliver instead of under-deliver. So I said, instead of 50, like I used to do, how about if we give our members and our students 75% off age trade lines? And I was able to solidify that deal. That being said, you guys today are going to get 75% off of age trade lines, okay? You're going to get my entire education course that was built on the hacks and tricks and strategies and everything that I've built for myself from day one, from a 515 to today being an 829 credit score and getting approved for anything I want. And I show you along the way with little small videos, easy to read and easy to watch videos that are proprietary inside my course. I show you the journey and all the newest tricks and things, how to remove inquiries in 72 hours, how to get collections off for 2 weeks, okay? I mean, it is unbelievable the value that's inside the course, okay? So you're going to get that. I'm going to give you 75% off of trade lines, and I got one better. I'm going to leave you guys with this. For the first 5 callers that call in, I'm also going to do something extra sweet for you. I'm going to pay for an elite credit repair from my vendor for you guys for getting in the program. Absolutely. Now you may have to pay like a little small audit fee, okay, for them to get on the phone with you and go over your credit. Other than that, I don't know, it's maybe like 80 or whatever it is, 90 bucks or whatever. Other than that, you get into any of my programs, the first 5 people are getting 75% off my entire education course, and I'm paying for this for you today. I'm paying for it for you. An elite credit repair that is done digitally for you, okay? It is not done by letters, it's done by software. It is the fastest credit repair on this planet. Results in under 90 days, okay? It is unbelievable the results people are getting, all the 5-star reviews that we're getting online. And if you go to my website, you can see for yourself. I mean, the people are going nuts. CreditGameTheletterU.com, and it's unbelievable. Check it out, okay? Look, I've been doing this a long time, okay? And I want to help you guys. But I want to tell you something. The first 5 people are going to get a deal of a lifetime. 75% off the entire education piece. All the tricks, strategies, how to remove inquiries, how to remove collections, everything you need, a proprietary information inside the course. And then on top of it, I'm paying for 5 people today to get an elite credit repair on the house that I'm paying for you guys, for the first 5 people to get in with getting any of my courses today. All right, so I want to help you guys out. This is how trade lines work. I hope that this has educated you enough to you at least know what to pick, how to select the right trade lines, what they mean, and it is the absolute fastest way to raise your credit score, hands down, by picking the right trade lines and knowing exactly which ones. Again, I hope this video helped you guys. Give me a thumbs up.
Post any comments you have below that you have any questions on. And again, as soon as you're done watching this video, make sure that you call me at 904-420-7772. That's 904-420-7772, because the first 5 people are getting the elite credit repair on top of everything else, and I'm paying for it for you. So I'll talk to you guys in a few minutes. Let's rock and roll. I'm in a great mood. I want to talk to you guys. I love you, and thank you for being subscribers. My name is Mike for the Credit Game. Let's roll.